This is the easiest, best, and least complicated beginner build for Mighty Doom, and even experts can use it because it scales up so well as you grow. As you see here, I'm using it with epic and rare gear, but you can use it with whatever. Now you're using the heavy cannon as your gun for the start, but why this? It is efficient, powerful, and simple to use. There's no fancy thing about it. You just get your spread shot, your side shot, all your upgrades, you know what you're doing. It's accurate, long distance, or it's decent close up too. It's literally great at almost everything you want it to do. But why not other weapons? Now the shotgun is a Doom classic and it's really good too. However, you have to be up close and personal with the enemies, and if you don't understand spacing, positioning, movement as a beginner, you need to know how to get in and get out with the shotgun, understand its range, how the pellets blast out. It's a little more finesse to make a shotgun work. So if you're a true blue beginner, a heavy cannon's better than a shotgun if you're not that comfortable with the game just yet. Now keep in mind, this guide goes for even rarities. If you have an uncommon shotgun and a common heavy cannon, use that shotgun because more rare weapons and armor start off with higher stats and they get more and better stats as they go. Now if it's even, go with the heavy cannon. Plasma would be a second competitor. It's a little bit slower on the shot despite the nice damage that it does, so really it's okay either way. It does have an enemy attack debuff, so that's nice too. When it comes down to it, if you have better plasma tokens for upgrades than the heavy cannon, use that. But if you can't use the heavy cannon, try it. Or if it's personal preference, either way, these guns are pretty close to each other because this plasma can still get a ton of shots firing around the field and has its own little perks as well, like the heat blast and such, so it can still be a good choice for you. The chain gun does require a little more finesse despite its long range. It's a little more inaccurate in long range till you get the steadfast upgrade, so you can get up in their face for better accuracy. And to quote the old meme, the longer the chain gun is firing in the game, the faster it becomes. So being able to keep that chain gun fire continuous so it speeds up more and more and faster, that is something in itself. Switching off to your secondary, knowing that, will actually stop and reset your fire rate and have to do all that again. So it's a little more complicated to use and get all the nitty-gritty, the details down. Even though it's still not too bad, honestly. Although there are some nice things about it. It can really shred enemies to pieces when you get at high level too, but it's still just a little more than a heavy cannon. The burst rifle. I tried this thing out. It has a 3 blast burst, and it's better when you're standing still and you can't arc those bursts or anything in any way. Not that you can arc a heavy cannon, but once you're shooting there for your 3 bursts. And all through, this is probably the worst of the weapon choices. Some people like it at higher level. I've seen in Discord. Some people, a lot of us, don't. I'd like to see it work. I'm not going to say it sucks completely forever. Maybe we just have to find a way to make it work. Either way, heavy cannon is still king here. Okay, so when it comes to your secondaries, the Gauss cannon is a clear winner for low and high players alike. It is so amazing because the damage is through the roof in your single shot, and not to mention when you get bounce, magnetic acceleration, when you get all these upgrades, lead poisoning, multi-shot, you're shooting all around the room like a miniature BFG, and it's literally just so easy to use, the basics, and it's still amazing for higher level players as well. You just cannot literally go wrong with the Gauss when you're learning the game or when you're an expert either. The rocket launcher is pretty good too. It's got a little bit of a less room clearing feel, but you can run into a pack of enemies and just blow them all up. Insane damage, seriously. Like, I'm using an epic rocket launcher right now because I can get it to just about maxed, versus a rare Gauss which is capped at 60. But all things considered, level playing field, I would definitely use the Gauss. But the rocket launcher is not a bad second place here against that Gauss. If you have it and it's really good and like it's a better rarity, use it. If you don't, back to the Gauss. Now, Super Shotgun also is probably an S tier weapon. It's just got so much power. With the meat hook, you can go to an enemy. You can position yourself around the field differently. You can stun lock bosses to stop the mid animation with their attacks. You can do so many cool things with this and power in the battlefield, and that's why it's a little more advanced than, say, the Gauss cannon. You have to get up close and personal with it most of the time, and you really just have to be careful with this thing despite its power. If you have one, great, use it, but keep in mind the Gauss is probably a little more simple, plug and play, than what a Super Shotgun's true capabilities really are. And even between the two, I'd still go Gauss. So the Ballista, it's like the Gauss's little brother that just can't do everything it can. I mean, I'm sorry, I know there are Ballista users out there. I wish I could like it. I've tried it, it's decent. If you have a good one, you can try it, but it just doesn't have the strength and power and room clearing capabilities, say that 10 times fast, that the Gauss does. It's so weak without upgrades. You're better off using your primary until you get Destroyer Blade, Arbalest, Outburst, more Destroyer Blade, anything. It's simple to use, yeah, sure, I guess. I just can't recommend it over, well, much really anything else. So when it comes to the ultimates, you might be a little surprised to see that the Unmaykr is the winner, and you know what? Even if you don't use it much for the weaponry, the simple fact that makes this thing so amazing is the Made to Last perk ability that you get when you start some matches. A 20% passive damage resistance buff is so huge, prevents you from getting a lot of damage, is better mathematically than a 25% health increase or so, give or take, and it's just so good to have. It's a boss killer when you get up close, but you know what? I can't recommend it as the main one. Why? The BFG 9000. I mean, literally, you just plug and play, you shoot across the arena. It's a good get out of jail free card. You get worried, you blast it. You see a boss, you blast it. There's boss strategies you can use with this that are more advanced. There's just so much you can do with it. You get invincibility frames when you're at the charge up, and it's just so easy to use and so user-friendly that yes, the Unmaykr getting up close is amazing, but it does not stand to the BFG. The chainsaw I can't recommend, honestly. Well, you know what? It'd be a good second place, maybe, because you get 6 seconds of invincibility when you're using this. You can click it, get out of the arena. Oh no, I'm cornered. Help, help. Hit the chainsaw, do a lot of damage to people as you go by, or a little bit, have 6 seconds where you do not get hurt, and then boom, you're out somewhere safe and clear. But it's just not the BFG. It doesn't clear the whole dang room. It has a faster charge, both the Unmaykr and the chainsaw do, than the BFG. I just can't really recommend it. And Demon's weak to rending. You never see that. Huh. Now we gotta talk about the Crucible because everybody's like, oh, big sword, right? It's gotta have power. Well, you get 5 strikes back and forth down the arena and you end up right where you were at the start. It does okay damage and that's fine, but you don't have any control over it. It's good to get yourself a moment to think if you need it, but it's just, again, it pales in comparison to the room clearing BFG capabilities. Even with a faster recharge, it's just so easy to use. The Crucible, yes, but the BFG is just so much better. There's just no way around it. Acid Spit, man, that is just nice because, look at this, it does damage toxic to enemies. It gets corrosion on them, which weakens their defense, meaning you kill them faster as a new player. Anytime you can take an enemy off the field, that is what you want to do. The time to kill an enemy, whether it takes 2 shots or 1, 2 shots taking twice the time as 1, even if they have 1 health, because you have to do that whole entire shot animation. This thing weakens their defense if it's a boss especially. Those guys can be tanky. You need all the help you can get. The Acid Spit, even at level 1, you want to use it because it is so good. You have the ability, that's the key player, not the damage. It is weakening your opponent's defenses. That makes this thing so awesome. Ice Bomb is nice too because it slows them down, does some decent damage, but just having a slow effect is good to help you get a little on the battlefield, keep everything cool, pun and kind of intended, but just the defense weakening is so much more powerful. But the ice, you never know, if you have a lot of strength and power, you might like it. You really could use it. I know a high level player that likes his. Hey, it's a good little tool, honestly. The Arc Grenade does good damage. It's like 8,000 some with maxed at Epic, and it weakens their attacks, which is really cool. Enemies weak to plasma, because if they can't do as much damage to you, you can survive longer. So if you have a good Arc Grenade, don't sweat it. Use the thing. I don't personally really use it myself. I'd like to try it out a little more, but man, I just have Acid Spit and I can't get away from it. And especially as a new player, you're not going to be maxed clearing out rooms in 2 seconds. You know, having that defense is just so nice. Flame Belch does fire damage, I mean, it's not really that special. It's just Flame Belch, it's just fire. If you have it, use it, go ahead, but it's not going to get the top of my list for me. Sorry. Frag Grenades actually have the highest amount of damage, 5 figures when you get into the Epic Max, but from what I've seen, I've not really been a user of this myself. It lobs a grenade so you can miss. It's just not as consistent as blasting enemies directly with the Acid Spit. It's just not as consistent and value adding as the Acid Spit. And you know what? I gotta go with the acid there. So when it comes to your helmet, you might be noticing I'm using a UAC helmet for here, and you might be noticing this gear right now. I am definitely having, out of all those weapons, your primary is your main thing. You want to have that level to the max if you can. I like having the secondary pushed hard as well, and then the ultimate, I like pushing it very hard. When you get into these more meta builds outside of the beginners, you're probably going to want to go level 1 ultimate just for the ability, but if you're just starting the game, if you're just having fun with it, level this thing up, enjoy the process, worry about the meta stuff later if you want to, and just have fun with it. Leaving this level 1 because, well, you just want the ability, not the damage from it. You got better things to spend your points on, honestly. When we come over to the armor side, like I said, I have the UAC helmet. You get critical chance for this, damage for the gloves after 5 seconds of firing a secondary, and that's precisely why it is not the play. I say it's not the play, with the Exulsion helmet giving guaranteed damage is a good way to go. Now, I prefer UAC and you might too, but if you're just starting out, you don't want to worry about all the more advanced things. I have 5 seconds after I shoot this weapon, calculated aggression, go in, do some damage and back out. If you just want the straight stats, you just want to focus on point A to point B to C, taking the enemies down, get a simple helmet, have the damage right out there. You have tons of options when it comes to your helmet and everything else. The Cultist Gauntlets would pair up well with the Exulsion. They actually have you more attack speed, which is cool. I don't really ever use them myself. The Exulsion Gauntlets give you boss damage. Boss damage is nice, but I would rather have something that helps me out on all the other stages instead of just 4 of them, right? So that's why I use the UAC Gauntlets and helmet, because they pair off really well with each other. One is critical bonus, one is damage, and they just work so nicely. But really, like I say, Demonic Gauntlets, straight up damage. Exulsion Helmet, straight up damage. You cannot go wrong as a beginner with Exulsion Helmet, Demonic Gauntlets, because they will pair up very well together. Like I said, I do UAC. If you want straight up damage, do this configuration. I still recommend the Demonic chest plate for this piece of armor because it is damage resistance. And as a beginning player, you want to have all the damage resistance you can, not just melee, because most of the attacks are ranged. It gives you good max health, resistance against damage, and it goes really well with this next piece of equipment that I have. So look at this here for me. And what makes this chest plate so good is because, let's say we go back to the boots. This puts the whole picture together. The demonic boots give you a ton of health. They give you melee dodge 5%, projectile dodge 5%. So here's what happens. Enemy goes to attack you, melee or projectile, doesn't matter. Game says, all right, 5% chance. Do we dodge? If we do dodge, great, you take no damage. Awesome. Let's say that their attack gets past that 5% dodge filter. Oh no, they're hitting. Wait, this armor will absorb 4% of that hit. So it's a 2-layer bonus here. You have the boots, which stop the attack with the dodge, and if they don't, the fail-safe is the chest plate having 4% resist. Now, I know there are chest plates that have stagger resistance, this and that and the other. Use them if you want, it's fine, but if you're a beginner, you want all the safeguards and safeties that you can, these 2 pieces of armor will do that for you. When it comes to Slayers, get whatever you can. Classic is probably the safest as he has more health, and he also has an invulnerability that he gets after getting hit sometimes, which is really nice. It's safe. If you can only use a mini Slayer, that's fine too. Gold is really good, I'm finding out, for damage and attack power. The Classic is just the safest there. And when you're in these battles, pick the things that lead to survivability. Do your max health perks. Do your abilities like your spread shot, side shot. Get a little damage bonus too, but focus on the ones that give you glory kills. For example, Glory Kill Rage makes you more powerful, Bloodthirst gives you more health on glory kills, and even the Heavy Cannon has ones that make it stagger more often. Anything that can give you health, security, and your abilities, max health, glory kills. Get higher health, get that health back, because higher health, higher percentage back from glory kills, higher bonuses in general. You get 25% health from your base with a health bonus, so the more health you get, the more you get from the bonuses, and you stack up that survivability, but you also can't neglect having the damage. Join our Discord to get free tips and help with your build, and then check out my free-to-play guide here to be able to make the best out of your account, whether you're free or even paid players can use it too. I'm Austin, thank you for watching.